brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Now it's sippin' time.
Oh yes, it's sippin' time again. Welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 to 2:45 a.m.
For sure.
We are a 1 hour show, unless the government comes in and shuts us down.
But we're only on from 2 to 2:45. Oh, we're only good from 2 to 2:45.
On your best day.
Okay.
On your best day, maybe to 2:45. Well, this is Made Man Bob, and joining me today, our Made Man Brent.
Always a pleasure to be in the basement.
And Made Man Maury.
Good morning, Bob. I'm so glad I wore my wellies today because it's extra damp down here.
It is a little drippy.
Thank you.
It's February in Florida.
And good old boy Justin.
Good morning, Bob. Always good to be in the basement and block out that darn light.
Well, you are an attorney, so if you go out in the sun, it's not good. And good old boy Harm.
Thanks for having me, Bob. It's a pleasure to be in the basement today. I'm enjoying the wonderful weather.
Yeah, he spends most of his time in the basement. It's where he keeps all of his...
the leather goods, the gimp masks. It's all good. Come to the dark side, Bob.
His prisoners. Yeah.
My prisoners.
Yeah. It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Yeah. Well, Brent, Maury, and myself are with the Bourbon Mafia.
You don't have to wear the heels, Bob. You don't have to wear the heels.
The Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization composed of bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals with representation in 8 states and 2 countries. Our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work. The group uses their love of our native spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other themed events. You can check them out on Facebook at the Bourbon Mafia. We are also sponsored in part by Fine Spirits in Cooper City, Florida, home of the Animatic Machine, serving great wines, whiskeys, and other spirits by the glass. You can find them at www.finespirits.net.
I think we should have a party.
Facebook.com/finespirits.
I think we should have a party on the day those machines start working.
Back in again. They worked for
That'll be right after my pool party.
Yeah. Yes, right after your pool party. We can all
they
drink
worked for so many years. Yeah, so did he, but then, that was 30 years ago. Now he just sits around.
2030. Yeah.
That the over-under?
Yeah.
That's the
Vegas line?
Yeah.
The Vegas line.
He'll be back.
I won't live long enough to see the bet that I put down, so...
The more you guys needle me, the less I'm interested in doing it. You're like my wife.
That's okay.
Just keep badgering me.
I want to be in the money when that comes
Just sitting there taking up all that room and not doing a thing. That's fine.
No,
Knock yourself out.
That's harm, actually.
Literally, we had
the
the last 2 days, 200 people.
They're both just sort of, they're both brown and they both just sort of sit there and they don't move much. So it's kind of hard to keep them separate.
Yeah,
and they're both, they're both full of liquor. So,
yes.
I mean, one's a little shiny because it's got Formica on it.
At least Harm has fresh liquor in him, though. God knows how old the
true.
liquor is.
It's a little fresher in him. It's from last night, so yeah.
Yes.
Oh no, we had 200 to 300 people the last 2 days, and using those Enomatic machines as a bartender. Everybody standing around drinking. It was good. Fantastic time.
What the hell is he talking? I have no idea.
But that made
You
no
weren't
sense.
invited, boyfriend.
Yeah.
He's saying it's a $4,000 shelf.
He's saying you had 300 people there.
Glass.
I had 300 people there, and they were all going, "Why aren't we using this?"
$70,000 shelf. I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
We had 300 people there, all staring at it, going, "Why isn't it on?" All right, so our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, coffee, and anything else you can drink. Unless, of course, it's in the anime machine. So, yeah. And today's show, we're going to be discussing whiskeys from Tomatin, from Buffalo Trace, and from Heaven Hill. And here's a list of the whiskeys we're going to be tasting. From Tomatin, we have their 12-year, with the Tomatin 14-year, the Tomatin Dualchas, and the Tomatin Cask Strength. And from Heaven Hill, we have the Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Rye. And from Buffalo Trace, we have the Stag Junior Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey 13th release. So we're going to go ahead and ask Mr. Happy over here to do our sips ratings for us.
Well, thank you, Bob. I feel very happy today in the basement. It's been a great day. I'm still a bit drunk from yesterday, and
Can't hear you through the GIMP mask. Take it off.
Oh no. I want to talk to you about our sips ratings. They're how we rate our whiskey, and we have these signature sounds. If Bob would ever press the buttons at the right time, but we start like this: 1 sip. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth. Jump the gun, baby. Jump the gun. Yeah.
Doing it on purpose
Timing.
now.
No
Doing it on
timing.
purpose now.
It's just like your wife complains, no timing.
No, don't need timing.
You don't care.
I'm done.
Don't care.
I'm done.
2 sips.
It's
Nice.
a race, my friend. It's a race, okay? It's not a marathon. It's a race. And guess what? My hillbilly butt,
It's a sprint to
I
the
win
finish.
every time.
It's a sprint to the finish.
I didn't have about 14 race cars in my life to come in second place.
Wow.
All right, moving on.
2 sips. Nice. What else do you have?
Okay.
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. Interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
4 sips. Let's keep this one a secret to ourselves. Hit the button,
You forgot the last part.
Classified.
Pour me another?
Pour me another?
Yeah.
All right.
Hit the button, Harm. Yeah.
I'm doing from memory. I'm not reading these things.
God forbid.
Short memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't need another one right now. I've been drinking.
Lots of things with him are short, including
5
the memory.
sips. Oh my. I was unaware anything could taste this good.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Whatever.
That was sad. All right. So we're moving on, and
not a
we're going to
race.
have Justin tell us a little bit about Tomatin.
Okay. Although illicit distilling had been going on in the area since the 1700s, the Tomatin distillery was established back in 1897 during the Victorian whiskey boom, when John McDougall, John McLeish, Alexander Allen established the Tomatin Spey District Limited, Distillery Limited. The name Tomatin translates to Hill of the Juniper Bush, hearkening back to the illegal stills of old. Juniper wood gives off no smoke while burning, so it's long been the favorite of illicit distillers. The Tomatin Distillery is located in the Highlands, at a site over 1,000 feet above sea level on the eastern edge of the Mondelith Mountains, just south of Inverness, on the Altena Firth.
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 It says Frith here.
The isolated location provided almost everything a distillery needed, except workers. So when construction of the distillery had begun, the architect was instructed to build a number of houses to accommodate distillery workers. Over the years, the number of houses on site began to grow, as did the distillery itself, and there are now 30 houses on site, which Tomatin continues to offer to its employees. 80% of their employees still live on site in the distillery houses, so working at Tomatin is more than just a job for our employees, it's a way of life. In 1956, the original 2 stills, which incidentally was the same time the enigmatic machines were working, back in 1956, which were capable of producing 120,000 proof gallons.
That's pretty much what Brent drinks on a weekly basis.
Yes. We're joined by another pair. Only 2 years later, another 2 stills were added. In 1961, total still count reached 5 pairs, with another single still joining them in 1964. In 1974, the most significant boost to capacity, with a total number of stills reaching 23. 12 of them were wash stills and 11 spirit stills, requiring 7 spirit safes, with the capacity to produce around 12 million liters of alcohol every year, which is probably what we drink in a year. While the vast majority of the whiskey made at Tomatin was sold in bulk to third-party companies for such use in blends as J&B, Chivas Regal, and Johnny Walker. They were also one of the few distillers to offer their whiskey as a single malt. Unfortunately, its size helped lead to its demise, with the whiskey bust of the 1980s forcing the company into liquidation in 1984. At that time, Tomatin's biggest customer was Japan's largest drinks producer, Takara Shuzo Limited, who purchased the distillery in 1986, forming the Tomatin Distillery Company Limited. The number of stills were reduced to 12, and recently it was the first distillery in Scotland to install a wood pellet boiler in 2012. So let's get to tasting our first whiskey.
That's you.
And that's me. Yeah. Tomatin 12-year.
He's sitting there looking at me. I'm like, what are you doing?
Who's doing a review?
Yeah, you're supposed to do this one.
86 proof, and it's 43% alcohol by volume. It won double gold in 2019 in the San Francisco
World Spirits
Championship.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
This expression is aged in a combination of bourbon barrels and sherry casks. The nose, I got some green apple, nutmeg, and lavender. On the palate, I kind of got a milk chocolate feel to it, oranges and some lemon zest. It was fairly well balanced with a little bit of sweet and bitter, and the finish was light, not long. Harmeet, what did you think?
I think I need longer to review this before we have a break. But to me, what really stuck out at the first was lavender. Lots of floral note. Lavender, cinnamon, nutmeg, some green apple. Just really appealing nose. But we need more time to talk about this.
We'll be back.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever, sweet love.
And we're back, and Harmeet was rambling on incoherently as usual.
Dude.
So
the nose is great, but frankly, the whiskey just left me a little flat. It promises more than I got in the palate.
I disagree.
You like the palate better than the nose, Maury?
Yeah, I think it's a lovely whiskey. I mean, it's not a kick in the teeth. It's elegant. It's got finesse. It's light. It's a beautiful whiskey. It's an all-day sipper. It's very well made. It's it's a little bit entry level.
We got to talk about appreciating elegant whiskey. I appreciate elegant whiskey. This one is just a little too light for me.
You're coming off the stag, and your palate's burnt out a little bit. But I think this
whiskey's brain. But,
Yeah, well, I think this whiskey's got a lot going on with it. I think it's just a classic single malt. It's beautifully well made. Mm-hmm. It's light, doesn't last forever on the palate, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Brent, what you think?
It's when you need to put an ice cube in it and just sit back and relax with it.
Yeah.
You're not going to use this like in a mixer, really.
No.
This is not going to be your punch in the teeth using it for a mix.
No, this is your everyday dram, like you said, with an ice cube. And,
it's very, very floral.
TV.
You guys are too generous to this 14.
It's very floral. It's like being in the field of flowers when you're just sitting out in a field of flowers and grass.
The floral note's lovely, but I think other people do the floral note better. This is just all right to me. It's not.
Yeah, you get a little bit of honey, a little bit of sweetness, but I taste the flowers on it as well. But it's just a light sipper. It's a very, very much an entry level.
Yeah, I mean it's a base 12 years Scottish single malt. It's,
you're going to be able to give this to anybody, and they're not going to be like,
yeah.
"Oh God," it's not that kick in the teeth.
I kind of like the kick in the teeth every now and then, but that's my kink.
Lay down on the floor, and I'll take care of that for you.
I have my wife stand on my back. That's the best. Oh, just need some massage.
He just had to go there, didn't he? It's already creepy. Again, I agree with Maury. This is a lovely dram. It's not the most complex that you're going to have, but it's their entry level 12-year. It's got a nice sweetness to it. It's got a nice nose. It's pretty well balanced. I mean, it's well made. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's a nice drink. And again, if you need an everyday drinker, because God knows we can't afford to spend, $150 a bottle for an everyday drinker, I think this is a very approachable.
And I think, again, like we've seen in many whiskeys, it took a little time to open up. I must admit that when I first poured it in the glass, it was a little closed. It was a little bit tight.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a little underwhelmed, but I've definitely improved my review, allowing 40 minutes in the glass.
I'll give you that. It has improved with time, and I didn't put any water in this. It did improve with air, as have all these on the table, but I don't think the improvement was as much as you guys are talking about. The next one that Brent is going to talk about. But do we have a review on this one?
We're going to give it 3 sips.
Interesting.
Generous. But Brent,
We can't all be
a miserable son of a. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. We're going to have Brent tell us about our next one.
So this next one's Tomatin 14 year. It's 86 proof for 43% alcohol by volume. This is non-chill filtered, and it's a natural color. It's won the double gold in 2019 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. And the whiskey for this expression was aged in a combination of ex-bourbon barrels and tawny port casks, which previously held port for around 50 years. It's a long time to hold a port, right?
I've held port for even longer than that at this point in my life, I think.
No, it comes out of your urinary tract. It really does.
I'm not sure. It goes in red, but it doesn't come out. Well, sometimes it comes out red. But Maury said that's normal. So he's the doctor, so I figure he knows.
Every now and then we just have to kick you in the kidney.
Yeah,
Yeah, the color on this is a light straw color. It's a very, very light when you're looking at it. It's on the nose. I get it's berries and honey, and a little bit of almonds. That's what I mostly get on the nose, and on the palate, you get the fruits right off the bat, and then a little bit of honey and some nuttiness to it, and then my mouth dries out. Then I can just get like this dryness throughout my mouth. And that's kind of like
because you swallowed it and there's none left.
There's none left.
Put more in, and then you don't have the dryness.
It's like I want to, So for me, it's like too dry. It's kind of like some of the dry wines or something. It reminds me of that. This is like a dry. This is like a dry whiskey, if there's such a thing. And that's
there's lots of dry whiskeys out there.
Yeah, well, that's what this one is. It's a finish. It's just a rather short to medium finish, and it's just again, this is something you could sip all day, but you're not going to use it as a mixer, and it's pleasant.
No, it's lovely. I mean, it's the port comes through, but it's not winey.
Subtle. No, it's subtle.
It's more fruity, grapey than winey. I've got the honey, and I've got the toffee and almonds and vanilla on the nose.
Yeah, that's what Brent didn't mention. But I really love that toffee note. I'm glad you picked that up.
I mean, it's really nice. Got it on the nose and then on the palate. Hold on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, on the palate, it's all honey and red fruit, and again, that dryness that you get, I don't perceive it as much as dryness as more sort of walnuts and almonds. That sort of tannic that you get from nuts. A little bit of spice, a little bit of oak. A lovely dram. I really enjoyed it. What did you think, Justin?
So, on the nose, I got malt, oak, and vanilla. And the last note was oak. On the palate, grapefruit hit me, and then grapefruit, and then some honey.
Well, you didn't duck.
Exactly.
I warned you. You know.
That's true.
I won't take that sass, sir.
There was a little bit of honey on it after a while, and then it ends in lemon peel with the finish, and the finish is short.
I don't think it's short. It's medium. Maury, did you agree with him?
I was more in agreement with Bob. I thought that the whiskey was very nice. It to me was a half a notch down from the first whiskey. I really preferred the 12
Really?
over the 14.
Dude, I completely disagree. I think this is a much better whiskey than the 12.
Yeah, I went the other. I thought it was a half a notch up.
Yeah.
But, you know, palates vary. That's the
I thought it was well made. I thought it was
vary,
a nice
but I think
whiskey.
he's just wrong.
Well, it could be.
He could be.
I mean, you're wrong all the damn time, so it's possible he can be wrong
Even
once.
a blind squirrel gets a nut now and then, Harm. So you could actually be right once.
No, probably not.
Probably not. It's a nice whiskey. It's well made. It's again short finish, light on the palate. It's lively. It's well made. I've got nothing bad to say about it.
You heard what his wife was going to give him for his birthday. She was going to tell him he was right for once.
Ooh.
I wrote it down on the calendar.
Yeah, well,
Did she cross her fingers behind
So my
her back?
question is,
Between 8 and 8:15 p.m. on his birthday, he's going to be right for once.
if Harmeet speaks in the forest and nobody hears him, is he still wrong?
Always.
Yes.
Here's the thing. If he speaks in a forest and nobody hears him, that's why we're all smiling, because none of us heard him. I'm just,
Such sad sucks.
And if you shoot a mime, should you use a silencer? I don't know. These are questions that are left for
beyond
other
us,
people.
they're existential and nebulous, and we're just.
What'd you think, Mr. Happy?
It's a better whiskey than the first one.
Okay, Justin. Jesus
go.
Christ.
No, I got. Thank you.
It's brown.
It
tastes like whiskey.
I'm chiming in when you guys are talking.
You sound like Shannon.
God.
What do you mean? He's brown and tastes like whiskey.
Wait. Just
You obviously have a wonderful economy with words. I look forward to your next syllable with great eagerness.
See, now you're using it there appropriately, but usually it's used sarcastically. And then
Shut up. Suppress your defecation.
don't mess with me. I have the clicker.
I told you I need more Picard. Give me some. Or we need more cowbell. You have cowbell in there?
Don't give me attitude, sir.
You know how hard it is to get a Samuel L. Jackson quote that I can put on here that will go out on the radio to Platt Society? You have no idea how hard that is. Moving on.
Well, the whiskey's wonderful. It's wonderfully whiskey-ish and light and toffee-ish, blah, blah, blah. There you go. Done.
All right.
It's okay, man. It's okay whiskey.
All right. We're going to give it 3 sips.
Interesting.
All right. So we're moving on to our next whiskey, and we're going to have Maury tell us about it.
Thank you, Bob. The next whiskey is the Tomatin Dualchas, 86 proof, 43% ABV. It won a gold medal at the 2019 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. This expression is known as Tomatin Legacy in the UK. It is matured in a combination of bourbon barrels and virgin oak casks. And we don't have the breakdown on that. Again, light pale gold to straw color on the nose. It's got a lot going on. Definitely some shortbread, a little bit of hint of marshmallow, pineapple, orange zest.
I feel like the shortbread went away with time.
It did, but it was there initially. On the palate, it's got a nice creamy mouthfeel. There's definitely a lot going on. You got a little lemon sherbet, a little bit of apple sponge cake, and a hint of white pepper. It's got a medium to long finish. I like this whiskey. I thought it was a very nice step up from the previous two. Brent, what'd you think?
Yeah, this one was a step up. Like you said, on the nose you get that shortbread and vanilla and a little bit of apples on it is what I get.
Yeah.
Right. On the palate, to me, the things that shot out right away were the pine, the pepper, and then the apples. So but it was nice medium finish. It was very pleasant to drink. You can sip this put an ice cube in a glass and sip this all day. That'd be okay.
Oh my God, we're going to get him to start drinking scotch. Listen
No,
to this.
that's not going to happen.
This will be him.
Sounds like it might happen.
This
No,
will be
it's
him.
not.
Sounds like
all things Scottish, our slogan is, if it's no Scottish, it's crap!
That's going to be him in another
You know
week.
why? You know why? Because there's rye and bourbon after these. So that's why.
There's bourbon in it. A little bit of bourbon in every
bourbon
dram of
Cask, my
scotch.
friend.
It's very nice of us to help them out with their whiskey. You know,
It is.
somebody's got to do it. But
Right. They couldn't do it on their own. So
what do you think, Jason?
So on the nose, I got pineapple and lemon. And when it
Am I agreeing with you, Justin? What's going on here?
was first poured in,
What? I agreed with you?
when it was first poured in the glass,
What kind of lemon? Regular lemon, Myers lemon, lemon pledge?
lemon zest.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
Wordy.
And at the beginning, there was definitely a chalk dust element to it, but as air got into this glass, the chalk dust faded. On the palate, when I first got it, I got a big pine and white pepper hit. Those two faded over a half hour being in the glass, and then I got more the creamy mouthfeel and the lemon sherbet. And the finish I thought was pretty medium. I like this after 30, 40 minutes in the glass. I did not like it right off the bat.
I agree. It's a theme here today in the basement. I think all of these whiskeys have benefited much more so than usual from air and time in the glass. And have evolved, quite interestingly.
I think it's the humidity in the basement that's doing it.
Yes,
It could be
not
a
so much the
factor.
air as the humidity. And,
Right.
The shortbread that
lust.
we first had when we first opened this, that cakiness and that went away, and it's all about fruit now. Pineapple and apple.
Does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Just wondering. Never mind.
That was a complete non sequitur, dude. What's going on with you?
We're all just
Are you
having
having
that
a
same
stroke
thought.
at the keyboard?
We're having that same thought every time we see you and you open your mouth. I'm just saying.
What are we giving this? Are we reviewing this? Did you even say anything, Bob?
No, I haven't said anything yet.
Well, then shut up and drink.
I was waiting for you to finish. Are you done?
It's
He's heard that a lot in his life.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Oh, yeah.
that's what my wife keeps saying. Are you done yet? Are you done yet?
Yeah. No. it's-
Unlike
no,
you,
what she's
Bob,
saying
it's
is,
not a
what are
race.
you doing? What are you doing? Yeah. That's what she's saying.
My wife's from Alabama. She doesn't sound like that.
Oh, yeah. No, this is lovely. And I still get, it's definitely blown off a bit, but the shortbread is still there. I mean, when we first opened it, was like opening a can of Walker's shortbread. And sticking
yeah,
your
for
nose
sure.
in it. And pineapple notes, lemon and orange.
Yeah. And you're agreeing with Justin too. What is going on today?
Oh, there's definitely pineapple in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big pineapple. So,
Yeah. It's pretty.
yeah, I like the mouthfeel on it because it's very creamy. It's very mouth coating, very rich. I do get that pine note. I definitely get that. But I get the apples and sort of like the melted lemon sherbet. A little bit of white pepper on the finish, just a little touch, not real spicy, but just just enough to wake your tongue up. Yeah, it's an absolutely lovely whiskey.
It's
and,
all over
yeah.
too. The white pepper is like from the front to the back.
Yeah, it's an even the whole thing. Like I said, it's very creamy finish, a very creamy mouthfeel to it. It coats the tongue and the roof and everything. It's a lovely whiskey. I really enjoyed this one, and we're going to be rating the Tomatin Dualchas 4 sips.
That's classified.
So we're going to move on to our last whiskey from Tomatin, and we're going to have Harm tell us about that one.
So this is my favorite Tomatin of the evening, and it's beautiful. It's Tomatin Cask Strength. I'm not a proof hound like these other Philistines over here, but this one, it really.
Oh, yes, you are.
And yet he wants the higher proof stuff. I don't know
Not
what that
always.
Yeah, isn't
Not
it
always.
amazing how he always likes the higher proof stuff,
Right.
but we're
It is,
the
but that's you
we're the
guys.
unkempt masses.
means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is you guys
Yeah, okay.
who always want the higher proof stuff. I can appreciate something at 90 proof, but this
No,
is
you can't.
115.
I've talked to your mother. You don't
57.5
appreciate
ABV,
anything.
Non-chill filtered, natural color. Matured in first fill ex-bourbon casks and then ex-Oloroso sherry casks. The color is pale gold. The nose is honey and ginger. At first it was cake batter. It was just all about cake. But now as it's gotten some air, it's ginger snaps.
It's a bag of ginger
It's a
snap cookies.
bag of ginger snaps. It's
My
gorgeous.
cake batter came back. Give it a little swirl, and the cake batter comes right back.
Oh, yeah? But try a drop of water.
Okay.
It's 115. I know you're not going to put any water because that's not strong enough for you, but try a drop of water. But wow, cinnamon and ginger and orange and I said apricot. I don't know what that is. There's some dried fruit in there. It's just I could smell this all night, and it evolves in the glass. This one excited me. I mean, Tomatin has capabilities that are just beautiful, and this is one really showcases it. And I'm going to try a little drop of water and see how the nose changes. And it's so oily. As I put the water in, you see the swirls coming out. On radio, you can see them very well. Imagine the swirls coming out. Oh, the nose, the cake batter came back. And then it goes orange peel. Cake batter, orange peel, dried fruit. And on the palate, let's see. Mouth coating, oily, red fruit, pineapple, a little vanilla coming in, some raisins from the Oloroso sherry. That ginger doesn't seem to be coming back as much. And the finish stays with you. It's medium long. I got some caramel coming out. Got some cocoa on the finish. And it's still going right now. These are my notes from earlier. This whiskey's still on my mouth and still tasting well. I just love this one. This is the sweet spot for me today. Brent, did you hate everything I said?
Yes. Actually,
with the nose, has nothing to do with the whiskey. We just hate everything he says. I mean,
for
that's
me,
what it really
the nose on this
to.
one promises so much because of that. You get that it's just so fruity on the nose, and it promises so much that after I start to taste it, I get I get the raisins, but not in a good way. And it's just it's for me.
No, you're confused.
Brent,
I'm trying to figure out what the bad way for raisins is. What is that? Goes in the other end?
I know. It's like a
bad way.
It's like a dried raisin. That's I don't know. It's just
it raisins on your foot. And you taste it later. It's like that.
And things. It's gotten better when you add a little bit of water to it. You get the raspberries. You get
like
some
a wet glass of water.
And did you get the cocoa on the finish? It's so gorgeous.
I get a little bit of that cocoa on the finish. Yeah.
This is.
But
I think it's well made. We can't talk to you anymore, man.
I preferred the other three over this.
Go sit in the corner.
I know.
You're being shunned now. Go in the corner.
I mean, for me, I preferred the other three over this one.
I agree with Brent.
Me from a proof hound like you.
Honestly,
there's gonna be knives coming out later.
Two? Another one?
Well, let's get to him when we come back.
I'm Stan.
And I'm Jerome. We're your hosts of Bad in the Boondocks. Bad in the Boondocks is a fresh take on true crime podcast. We are a father and son team from way back in the sticks of South Carolina.
Yeah, and a town of less than 500, and we have a shared passion for all things true crime. So every week we get together and swap stories about true crime events.
We try and find the most twisted and vile losers of our human race. Now, you won't hear a lot of endless banter on Bad in the Boondocks.
But what you will hear is all the unedited facts on the cases that we choose, no matter how gory or troublesome they are. And you'll hear it all with a unique Southern flair.
And along the way, you'll hear just the right amount of discussion and jokes to keep you and us from completely losing our mind. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms, or just go to boondockspod.com and binge all of our episodes there.
So come on down to the Boondocks and get your redneck on with us. We promise you'll have a good time.
Hey, and we're back, and we're talking about some lovely whiskeys from Tomatin. We're currently talking about the Tomatin Cask strength. So let's go to Justin and see why he's wrong.
Let me just finish putting on some Band-Aids because the knives are out.
Yeah.
Speaking of Band-Aids, I kind of got the medicinal alcohol note on the nose.
Oh, my God. What are you drinking?
And then under that, I got ginger and orange peel. And I keep revisiting this to see if air will change it. So now...
Why are you drinking out of a used medicine bottle?
Oh, is that it? So I'm getting oak, some tannins, red fruit.
You should take those Band-Aids off your lip.
And I'm getting the medicinal raisins on the finish.
Yeah, I get all the different flavors that are, the raspberries, the things, but it just doesn't match up for me. It's like all blending together well. It just doesn't make the right blend for me. So not my flavor profile, that's all.
Yeah.
I thought this was a lovely whiskey.
To them, all I have to say,
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Exactly.
Well said, Bobby.
This is lovely.
This whiskey, I mean, the shocker to me was the nose didn't match the palate. The nose was like cake batter and sweet, and it went away, but it came right back. And I really thought that the whiskey was going to be this sweet, cloying cake batter.
No,
nothing. And it was nothing like that. I thought that that it was delicious. It's viscosity is beautiful.
By the way, that finish is still going. I'm still tasting that. That's really yummy.
I wish I
is
could live
definitely
in
my
your
favorite. My favorite of Tomatin for sure, and not just because it's high proof, but I think the high proof just adds levels of complexity and just a lot of sophistication.
I mean, it doesn't taste particularly much higher proof. Than
No.
others,
It drinks like a 90.
It drinks like a 90. I mean, it's not. There's not a huge burn or anything to it.
No, there's no burn. In fact, if I'd be hard pressed to say it wasn't the same proof.
But the only thing I can say is I get a little bit more of the alcohol in the nose. A little.
If you tasted this blind, you would think they were all the same
You're never
proof.
going to know. You're honestly never going to know. It's just that.
This is a very polarizing whiskey at the table.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ginger snaps.
I think we
there.
should just cut their scores, though. Don't average it in.
That ginger snap on the nose, and it's completely different on the palate. It's not what you expect, but it's in a good way. And just fruit and honey and cocoa, that sort of bitter Dutch cocoa, and the oak and the raisins. It's just, it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely.
It's like the dress that's of two different colors. We could argue all day about what color it is, but nobody's right, nobody's wrong.
No, there is a measurable difference. Some eyes just aren't as good as others.
No, there's
I'm
a
looking
difference.
at you too.
There's a big difference. I can kill a man with my bare hands, so I'm right. So, yeah, okay. So we're going to be rating this one, the Tomatin Cask Strength, 4 sips.
That's classified.
I obviously got overruled.
Yes.
Yes.
That's not the first time.
Yeah, that happens often whenever we're doing scotch.
You were officially shunned.
Yeah.
All right, but this is more in Brent's wheelhouse.
Whenever we give him scotch, he just sort of sits in the corner and just, he's just going, Is the show over yet? Is it over yet? No. So, but he's going to be happy now. So we have something in his wheelhouse. So tell us what we got.
Luckily for you, we're going to tell you about some Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey. Founded in Kentucky by the Shapiro family in 1935, Heaven Hill Distillery is a family-owned brand that is well known to our listeners and with a vast production line. Heaven Hill also became known as a brand that gives you a great bang for your buck. They currently have over 1.6 million barrels aging in Kentucky in 58 warehouses throughout Nelson and Jefferson counties.
I know where all of them are. Some of them have no fence. I'm just saying.
Just saying. Heaven Hill Distillery was the winner of the 2019 San Francisco World Spirits Competition Distillery of the Year. Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey is the newest extension of the Elijah Craig product line, joining the iconic Elijah Craig Small Batch Bourbon, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and the Elijah Craig 18 and 23-year expressions. With a suggested retail price of $29.99, Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey will first launch in the limited markets of North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Oregon, the basement of Florida,
Yeah, we
all
don't
in
get it in
January
Florida
of
yet.
2020. Their other two rye brands are Rittenhouse Rye, which is a 51% rye, 37% corn, 12% malted barley.
Wonderful stuff.
At 100 proof. Yes, very nice. And their Pikesville Rye, which is a 51% rye, 39% corn, 10% malted barley at 110 proof. So this here is the Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Rye, 94 proof, 74% alcohol by volume. It's non-age stated. This one is the 51% rye, 35% corn, and 14% malted barley. This has got a nice dark
deep
brown copper color, dark copper to it. Beautiful looking. Just what I expect from a nice rye whiskey.
It's got some age on it. There's no age statement.
There is no age statement on this one. On the nose, I get some mint. I get some dill. Just a little bit of pepper on there, on the palate. Get this beautiful, huge mouthfeel to this. This is gorgeous. I get mint, cocoa, vanilla, a little tobacco, some dill, and a little bit of orange. It's got about a medium finish. Just pleasant to drink all the way around. What do you think, Maury?
Well, I agree with most of what you said. I think it's a very pleasant whiskey. It's very nice. I think it's nice to see another rye expression coming out of Heaven Hill. They do a good job, and I do agree that their whiskeys are value priced. You do get a lot for your dollar from them. This particular whiskey, I think, is very nice and it's very pleasant. I found it to be a little bit less complex than I'd like it to be. I found it to be a little mono.
This is your entry level rye right here.
Correct.
Just because of the price and stuff. It's not that one that you're going to go and make your mixed drink with.
I'm not even sure that I would like to spend a lot of time sipping it. It's just a nice entry level and then move on to something else, just a warm up. I liked it. I thought it was well constructed.
I would do a mixed drink with this because of the price.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to put a really great complex rye in a mixed drink either. I think this.
But
would
is
be
this going to stand up? Depends what you mix it with.
Would this stand up with 94 proof? It should.
Yeah.
Well, the proof is there, but I thought that the flavor was a little bit one note and may not stand up well to a cocktail. What'd you think?
That's what you add bitters and sugar and all that.
I was going to say, what kind of cocktails is he making?
You're adding flavor with good cocktails.
Even there's no age statement. I think for it to be straight rye, it has to be at least 2 years old, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's minimum 2 years old.
I'm guessing 5 years on this.
Oh, it's
every bit
over
of 5.
4 because if it's under 4, they're going to have to put some age statement on the label anyway. So, yeah, it's probably 5 or 6 would be my guess.
I'm guessing 5 based on our flavor profile we've had from things. But go ahead, Justin.
So the mash bill is 51% rye, but to me it tasted a lot more like a 95.5 that I've had from
MGP
Bullet or MGP. I did get the dill hit, and lemon and cedar notes. Although I'd be surprised if
cedar. There's definitely a lot of cedar on the nose.
Yeah, that was a good call.
I'd be surprised if Elijah Craig sourced it. It's probably their own juice, but it's just really interesting.
No, it's definitely their own juice.
How it's like MGP, but it's probably not. So on the palate, I got a big rye hit right off the bat, followed by dill, and of course there's no salt in this, but kind of got a salty finish at the end. It was pleasant. I would definitely make a sweet and dry vermouth Manhattan out of this. And I think it would shine through really nicely and had a medium
dry vermouth
finish.
In your Manhattans?
So I use half dry, half wet. It's like a south of Hudson Manhattan, which I got from a bartender in Savannah.
Not dry and wet, but that's good call.
So it's kind of.
I know what he meant.
Yeah,
I knew what he meant.
Sweet neutral.
See how he does it? He said, "Oh, you're an idiot. You did it wrong." But that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Good try.
Yeah,
good try.
Yeah, let me backhand the hell out of you, and then I'm going to give you a compliment. Okay.
But he pulled out the cedar. That was excellent.
You can see where his childhood was. Okay.
Yes. That Harmeet, very good. You got an A-, but why did not you get A+? What's going on here? All A's? No, A+, baby.
That's why I went to law school, not med school.
Yeah, well, you took PE for all classes, so I mean that doesn't really matter.
PE would be all C's.
The most important class in high school.
So you see the girls in their running shorts back in the 80s,
Yeah.
Shorts.
Did you want to say anything about?
No,
I
don't want to talk about that. I'm thinking about the girls in the 80s. Jesus. The whiskey was good. I would make a cocktail out of it. It's nice rye. It did hit me with a lot of dill. And I'm not a fan of those ryes that are all that dill, and I don't generally get that so much dill on the older MGP. The younger MGP, yeah, but dill, cocoa, cherry, mint. But the cedar is what Justin said, and he's absolutely right. I like older ryes with that orange peel and clove going on. That's not coming here. But on the palate, it was pretty rich. It was nice. Again, dill and some brown sugar. And the finish was medium, and I would make a cocktail. And there's nothing wrong with it. This is a value-priced whiskey, Do it. This is good. I prefer Rittenhouse. But Rittenhouse,
yeah. Rittenhouse is a step up, but this is a nice effort.
Bob?
I don't know. Honestly, Rittenhouse tastes damn near the same to me, but...
Really?
Yeah, we're talking like 1 or 2 points on the mash bill between that and Rittenhouse. I mean, literally
Rittenhouse is
that
also
much
It's
difference.
older, probably.
I guarantee they're probably about the same age.
Really interesting.
No, I mean, it's a lovely rye. Again, it's not, meant to be the butt kicker of the universe rye. It's a $29 rye, well made. Again,
My problem is I like $200 rice.
Well, yeah, I like, I like to eat nothing but Kobe beef, but I can't afford it, and I'd be dead if I ate it for every meal. So it's
what a way to go.
Happy.
It's really well made. It's got a nice flavor profile. It's got a great nose. You
There's
get
nothing
that
wrong with it.
There's that tobacco box, tobacco and cedar and sort of old worn leather and a good bit of orange in it.
It's not enough. That's where I disagree. It's not enough orange. I wanted that orange peel thing going on. Nothing. Not enough. That dill overpowers it for me here.
But a lovely whiskey. So we're going to be rating the Elijah Craig Rye 3 sips. So that brings us to our last whiskey of the day. This is from Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is an American family-owned company based in Frankfort, Franklin County, Kentucky. It's about 2 blocks from the state capital. The distillery's rich tradition dates back to 1773 and includes such legends as E.H. Taylor Jr., George T. Stagg, Albert Blanton, and Elmer T. Lee. The Buffalo Trace Distillery is a National Historic Landmark and is also listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It has won 35 distillery titles since 2000 from publications such as Whiskey Magazine, Whiskey Advocate, and Wine Enthusiast Magazine. Its Colonel E.H. Taylor 4-Grain was named World Whiskey of the Year by Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible in 2018, and William LaRue Weller and Thomas Handy Sazerac were named second and third finest whiskeys in the world by Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible in 2020.
Sazerac 18 was number 1 in 2012, too.
And introduced in 2013, Stagg Jr. quickly became a favorite of whiskey reviewers, winning 5 double gold medals, 12 gold medals, and a bunch of other trophies and accolades at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, New York World Spirits Competition, World Whiskey Awards, and others. Stagg Jr. is released in batches twice a year. This release should be in retail stores about now as we're recording this. With the next release, number 14, coming sometime this summer. So let's get to tasting this new release. So we've got the Stagg Jr. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey 13th release. It's 128.4 proof, 48.2% ABV. No age statement. It is uncut, unfiltered, and we've been told that it is around 8 years old.
Bob, before you go on and talk about the tasting notes, maybe for our listeners, you could clarify what makes Stagg Jr. Jr. and how it differs from George T. Stagg.
I can find one, and I can afford one.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's true.
But they're not the same whiskey. It's unfair to rate them as like, oh, this is.
Yeah.
I think the the marketing is to get on Stagg, but it's not. It's not a junior version of George T. Stagg.
No.
Well, it is,
and it's high proof.
It is, and it isn't in the fact that it is an uncut, unfiltered, cask strength release whiskey, much like George T. Stagg, and it is a larger, bolder style of bourbon, but it's not George T. Stagg. It's Stagg Jr. It's an entirely different whiskey altogether.
I think it's the location of the warehouse is the biggest thing.
That's where it basically is.
But I think it's also younger. This year, the proof is actually higher on the junior. The George T. Stagg's the lowest proof we've seen in quite some time.
And it's not so much the age. Depends on, like you said, it's where is it at in the rick house? If it's in the upper floor, it's going to be through the roof and proof in 2-3 years.
Speaking of rick houses, our private barrel of Elijah Craig is supposed to be released because our rick house has been uncondemned. But still.
So we've got dark cherries. We've got a little bit of honey on the nose. So we've got on the palate, we've got a lot of caramel and mocha. And cherries, got a huge mouthfeel. What'd you think, Brent?
This reminds me like of a chocolate covered cherry. When you put this in your mouth, it's beautiful in the palate. That's what chocolate covered cherries is. What it brings to me. So, Maury.
I agree with you, Brent. Chocolate-covered cherries, nice creamy mouthfeel, long finish, just keeps going on and on and on. A lot of dark chocolate on the finish. Beautiful whiskey. Justin?
I like this one a lot. It had dark cherries and honey on the nose. I got creamy mouthfeel to it.
Thanks, Justin. It's been nice having you today.
It's pretty good.
We're going to rate this one 4 sips.
That's classified.
Slow, isn't he? I swear. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can catch all of our episodes where you found this one, as well as on terrestrial and satellite radio, and online at iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, CBS Radio, radio.com, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, YouTube, PRX, and pretty much any place you can listen to a podcast. The easiest way to find this show on your phone is to ask Alexa, Siri, or Google to play podcast Sip Suds and Smokes. We love your feedback. You can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. And our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at SipSudSmoke. And
Are they called the daily tasting notes?
Yes. And our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll also be able to interact with the thousands of other fans on those social media platforms. You can also check us out on Instagram at SipSudsandSmokes or at MadeManBob. Do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. It's a big help to us when we get to see your feedback as well. I want to thank our co-host for joining us today. Thank you, Brent.
It's a pleasure to be here. Always love it, especially the ending.
I'd love to leave.
Yeah.
When you finish with Stag Junior, it's like it makes it a nice day.
Well, thank you, Maury.
Thank you, Bob. I'm excited about the smell of haggis and neeps for breakfast.
And thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Bob. I'm still thinking about Brent's happy ending there.
You would be. Thank you, Harm.
Thank you guys for having me in again. I really appreciate it. The whiskey's wonderful. I'm going to go home and bother my wife now.
I just threw up my mouth a little.
I threw up a lot.
Yeah, good Lord.
I was a little bit more put off by
So this is Made Man Bob reminding you that
ending.
You know how my wife feels.
Life is too short to drink bad whiskey. So, and we're done.
All right, well.
That was without even a single drop of rum.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip Suds and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.